Crewman T-631 was born on Neuritro. He spent most of his early life waiting for bulk harvesters. They would always arrive at the end of the annual cycle and bring whatever food they wanted back to the Zardonian homeworld. The Zardonians are the most heavily militarized species in the known universe. Luckily for the citizens of Neuritro, there was always plenty to spare. Crewman T-631 joined a bulk harvester crew as soon as he was old enough and moved to the Zardonian homeworld. After 6 solar cycles and 14 attempts, Crewman T-631 was accepted into the Zardonian space fleet. He immediately signed up to the Terra-class ship. Guarding a Terra-class warship from a species who cannot yet travel to their nearest planet is a one-man job. Crewman T-631 did not expect to have to do anything while the invasion of Earth was taking place, which was why it came as a total surprise when the scanners picked up an enemy craft on the launch deck. It came as an even bigger surprise when the crew immediately split up and adopted a seemingly chaotic attack pattern. None of his training had prepared Crewman T-631 for this, so he did the only thing he could think of to do. He panicked and stowed himself on the enemy craft. Crewman T-631 figured it was better to take his chances with the enemy than face certain death at the hands of his commander. Chapter 10. The defense of planet Earth was progressing slowly. The humans involved were simultaneously scared, frustrated, and bored. And Kevin and Martina were discussing Jerry McLaughlin. No fucking way. But you know he'd have us in the control room in 5 minutes. I said, no, Martina. It'll take us forever to find it otherwise. No. He smells of cheese. What's that got to do with it? I don't want my van smelling like that. It's not your van. And Pa and Sandra agree with me. We need Jerry here. I said no. The spaceship controls are nearby, and any minute now I'll find them. Bullshit. A minute, Kev. You have no idea where you are in the ship. I know fine well where I am. Okay then. What are all these empty rooms? Some sort of storage area. A storage area for what? Just general, stuff for the fighters. We both know that's bollocks. You haven't a clue, Kev. I do. And anyway, we've no time to go back and get Jerry now. We don't have time not to, Kev. Come on, be reasonable. Kevin paused before he spoke again. Okay, Martina. But only because you all wanted it. Not because I couldn't find the control room. Fine then. Because I would, if you'd let me. Sure, whatever you say. Martina was grinning when she walked back to Sandra and Pa. Kevin was frowning and trailing a dozen steps behind. Sandra was first to her feet and began leading the way back to the van. How would you get Kev to agree to this? Pa walked next to Martina. Don't jinx it, Pa. He wasn't exactly keen. The four made their way back into the room with the giant window. Their van faced away from them and sat in contrast to its pristine surroundings. Pa glanced back to Kevin and looked out at the view. We better get going quickly before he changes his mind. Earth was still visible in the window. Streaks of light scarred the atmosphere. The battle for the planet was in full swing. Pa pointed towards it. You know, Martina, this is going to sound weird, but looking down on that from here feels like the safest place to be. Or the kind of place you'd send someone if you wanted them out of the way. Huh? What do you mean by that? Are you still going on about those 2 crusties at the party? You're starting to worry me with all this paranoia. Just think about what you're saying, Martina. If those 2 were aliens, why the fuck would they bother conspiring to send us up here when they could just vaporize us with their ray guns? The word paranoia got Sandra's attention, and she immediately joined the conversation. Maybe not those aliens, Pa, but shape-shifting Archons would have no problem with conspiration. You know, sending us here in the middle of an alien invasion would be a perfect move for them. With us out of the way, they could just sit back and watch the destruction of humanity. After all, it's something they've been trying to do for centuries, and now it's happening. Provided nobody gets in the way. Sandra reached the van first. One window and all the doors were open. Pa threw an angry glance towards Martina and Kevin. Fuck's sake, lads. Which one of you left the van open? Martina rolled her eyes. How would you relax, Pa? Who's going to be robbing you up here? What are aliens going to want with a pile of manky jackets? Sandra began climbing into the back of the van and stopped. She had not finished describing her theory about Archons. She turned back to face Martina and Pa and continued explaining. Saving the world could wait. The problem with Archons is that anybody you meet could be one. Now, I'm not saying there were definitely some at the party, but, you know, it'd be a good place to blend in. The shape of a hand reached out from the back of the van towards Sandra as she spoke. Martina was the first to notice. Although she could recognize it as a hand, it was like nothing she'd seen before. The surface of it was covered in sleek and black scales. The scales looked like polished carbon. Now, Pa was a close second, but really it should have been up to Martina to give the warning. She couldn't. An icy fear gripped her as she saw two glowing red pupils and the spindly frame of a creature emerge from behind Sandra. The fear paralysed her. The eyes seemed to both swallow and emit light. But the eyes were not what had terrified her. That was the hand that was now slowly reaching towards her friend. Martina could make out Pa from the corner of her eye. He was also pale and frozen. Kevin was third to see the creature. Sandra, watch out behind you! Sandra didn't acknowledge the warning. She just snapped around to face the van and raised her left arm. The creature's red eyes followed her movement. It was too late. Sandra's right arm had already shot upwards. Her fist came to a sudden stop beneath the creature's jawbone. The red pupils dimmed, and then the creature's body wobbled and collapsed into the van. Sandra shook her head in disgust. Fucking hell, Martina, you could have warned me. I'd be the first to let you know if there was an alien sneaking up on you. Pa and Martina stayed frozen with fear. Kevin glanced around the room and sprang into hyperactive, panicked action. Lads, move. Where there's one, there's many. We need to get the fuck out of here before the others bring in artillery. He ran to the back of the van, cursed, ran to the front of the van, cursed again, and returned to the back of the van. Sandra, you hop in the van. Sandra was already inside. Kevin slammed the back door shut. He then turned his attention to unfreezing Pa and Martina. Fucking move, you pair of muppets. We're under attack from aliens and you're standing around like it's a bus queue. He then paused and decided on shouting something more encouraging at them. If those aliens get a heavy weapon set up, they'll explode us out to space through the giant window. It was enough to infect Pa and Martina with the panic. They both jumped into the cab of the van and Kevin climbed into the driver's seat next to them. He then turned the ignition. Nothing happened. He looked down at the Mega Drive and cleared his throat. Hello. Greetings, computer. Can you hear me? Set coordinates to County Sligo and, when you're done, engage the hyperdrive. Nothing happened. Do it now. Pa glanced over to Martina and then to Kevin. Which one of us are you yelling at, Kev? I'm talking to the Mega Drive. Tony and Paul said it's self-aware. Hurry up, shouted a muffled voice from behind. We're trying. The van's not working. Hear this, computer. Activate emergency override. Engage. Pa placed a hand on Kevin's shoulder. Calm down, Kev. You're freaking out. The van doesn't talk. Bleep. Gaizen Shemazin, came an electronic voice from underneath the dashboard. What the fuck is going on, lads? Bleep. Gaizen Shemazin, repeated the voice from the dashboard. The van's speaking Japanese, Martina. I can hear that, but why? Bleep. Gaizen Shemazin. Kevin scratched his head. and turned on the indicators. Oh, lads, do you speak Japanese? Pa and Martina stared at him blankly. He reached behind and knocked on a partition. Sandra, do you speak Japanese? What? No, hurry up! Bleep, guys in Chemason. Martina looked down at the gear stick. What about putting the van in reverse? Kevin bit his lip in frustration. Don't be stupid, Martina. This is the world's first superluminal hyperdrive. You don't just stick it in reverse. Bleep, guys in Chemason. Well, just fucking do something, Kev. Kevin put the gearbox into reverse and turned the key. Clump. The van was instantly transported to a hilltop in Sligo. It was now very early into a July morning. The dawn chorus of birds had begun, and everything was peaceful. Apart from a mesh of heat trails in the sky, it looked like any other summer daybreak. Bleep, guys in Chemason. What's going on? Did we make it? Came a muffled voice. Martina turned around. Yeah, are you okay, Sandra? Bleep, guys in Chemason. I'll go back here. What do you want me to do with this creature? Throw some jackets over it. We can sort it out later. You might as well get some kip. We're going to spin up to Jerry McLaughlin. Beep, guys in Chemason. Will you turn that fucking thing off, Kev? And how am I going to do that? It took 2 specialists to set it up, Martina. It's a superluminal hyperdrive. You can't just plug these things in and out like a toaster. Bleep, guys in Chemason. Pa held up a cable he had just pulled from the van's cigarette lighter. Turns out you can. I don't mind doing the driving if you two want to get some kip.